Picture this. If you were to take a cinematic flight over ancient Yemen right now, you'd see vast deserts, towering mountains, and the remnants of a truly magnificent civilization. Today's explainer is diving deep into this forgotten empire. We're talking about the mystery of the Tubb'a kings, a dynasty that literally rivaled the greatest powers of the ancient world.
So who exactly were the mysterious people of Tubb'a? Well, they're this fascinating civilization whispered about in ancient religious texts, but kind of crazy, they're almost completely ignored in mainstream history. We're going to strip back the layers of myth today. We'll look at the historical, archaeological, and textual evidence to see how they built this sprawling empire, and honestly, why their epic story is absolutely crucial for us to understand today.
Take the Qur'an, for example. It actually references this powerful nation in a deeply chilling way. The people of Tubb'a are explicitly called out as a criminal people who were destroyed for rejecting divine messengers. They're grouped right alongside other completely ruined ancient civilizations. But to understand why they met this apocalyptic fate, we really need to look at the supreme leaders who gave this fallen nation its name.
Okay, let's get our terms straight first. Tubb'a wasn't actually someone's first name. It was a highly exclusive dynastic title, reserved only for the supreme kings of the Himyarite Kingdom in ancient Yemen. Think of it like being called Pharaoh in Egypt or Caesar in Rome. Basically, if a ruler managed to unite the region and seize absolute, undisputed authority, they earned that illustrious title of Tubb'a.
And this wasn't just some tiny local kingdom either. We're talking about an absolute economic juggernaut. Starting way back around 115 BCE, Himyar began aggressively locking down vital trade corridors. By 275 CE, under King Shamir Uharesh II, they pretty much monopolized the global trade in frankincense and myrrh. They were making a fortune. And that sets the stage for 390 CE, when the most legendary Tubb'a of them all steps up to the throne.
Enter Abu As'ad, the unifier, the conqueror, the supreme king. Ruling from 390 to about 420 CE, this guy wasn't just a wealthy businessman trading incense. He was a brilliant, ruthless military commander. He projected immense power straight across the harsh, unforgiving Arabian deserts, pushing Himyarite territory deep into central and northern Arabia, and bringing wildly diverse tribes under one centralized command.
Which actually leads us to one of the most bizarre military stories of the ancient world, the siege of Yathrib, which is modern-day Medina. According to historical traditions, Abu Qarib's army would fiercely attack the city all day long. But at night, get this, in a stunning, almost comical display of Arabian hospitality, the besieged citizens would actually host and entertain him and his troops. During this really weird stalemate, 2 Jewish rabbis warned the king against destroying the city, prophesying its future importance. And, intrigued by their wisdom, he just completely abandoned the siege.
This moment is a real game changer, because it brilliantly shows how archaeology and theology can intersect. On one side, we have hard epigraphic evidence, actual stone inscriptions in the ancient Musnad script proving the state suddenly ditched polytheism to honor a single deity, Rahmanan, the merciful. On the flip side, Arab and Islamic texts attribute this exact conversion to those 2 rabbis from Yathrib. It's amazing. The ancient stones and the religious texts completely agree on this massive religious shift, even if the exact spark that lit the fire differs slightly in the telling.
Abu Qarib's religious awakening spread like wildfire, deeply influencing the wider region, especially Mecca. Tradition holds that he kept having this recurring dream telling him to cover the sacred Kaaba. He started out simple, just using woven palm leaves. But another dream pushed him to do better, so he went all out, upgrading to finely woven Yemeni cloth and robes. This famously makes him the very first person in history to cover the Kaaba with what we now call the kiswa. He even put a door on it, gave it a key, and ordered local tribes to strictly maintain its absolute purity. The sheer scale of his ambitions is just staggering. Looking north, he locked down Najd and Yathrib, securing those vital caravan routes. To the east, legendary accounts claim his armies marched along the Silk Road as far as Samarkand and the borders of China. But the most mind-blowing part has to be his communication network. He supposedly built this massive chain of fire beacon minarets, stretching all the way from Arabia to Asia. Think about it, they could flash rapid signals across vast deserts in a single night.
Now, because of his profound piety and respect for sacred sites, Islamic tradition holds a very unique view of this specific Tubb'a. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad is reported in a hadith to have explicitly said, "Do not revile Tubb'a," because he had embraced Islam, meaning he had submitted to a correct monotheistic faith. So while his people later reverted to paganism and faced that devastating divine punishment we mentioned earlier, The king himself is remembered with profound historical respect. 121 years. That's the legendary claim for how long Abu Qarib's incredible reign and legacy actually spanned. Whether you read that as literal history or just a symbolic nod to a glorious golden era, there's no doubt it marks the absolute zenith of Himyarite power. But, as history always reminds us, gravity eventually catches up with every great empire.
So why did this mighty empire finally collapse? Well, ultimately, their vast reach became their fatal vulnerability. They were dealing with wildly overextended, totally unsustainable frontiers. Their logistics were just stretched completely thin across brutal, arid desert zones. And this structural weakness, it basically invited opportunistic invasions by Aksumite forces from across the Red Sea in the early 6th century. Throw in some internal mutinies and political assassinations, and the Himyarite Kingdom simply fractured under its own immense weight.
Among the forgotten kings of history, the story of Tubb'a remains a symbol of power, civilization, and the mysteries of the ancient world. When we look back at the grand sweep of human history and see the stones, the texts, and the legends left behind by Himyar, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other magnificent, advanced civilizations are buried out there under the desert sands, just waiting for us to uncover their stories?